Hello, everybody. Okay, so this is mostly for second period since you missed class today because of the assembly. And I totally forgot about it. I wanted to make sure that you had an understanding of what we're going to be doing in class tomorrow. So I'm going to walk you through a really quick pitch idea that you could use for like a documentary idea if you wanted to use it, but also it was one of the things on the list for Schoology. So this is my documentary pitch idea, and so I'll stand up in front of class tomorrow and I'll show you this. First, you need a screenshot or you need a image that you're going to be using as a potential poster idea. You just need the image. You don't need to have anything on the poster yet. We'll talk a little bit about how to do that poster later in the school year. So here is my image idea for a poster. And the title of what I would be doing right now, working title, is What's Important, the Value of Conversation to Everyday Happiness. And I would probably change it to be something a little more zingier for the documentary, but that would be the paper title most likely. So the thesis that I'd be working off of is, although changes in communication technologies make it easier to stay in touch, they also make it easier to avoid tough or meaningful conversations. Face-to-face connections raise happiness and fulfillment levels of individuals dramatically. So I'm looking at two different things, computer and technology communication versus everyday communication, like face-to-face communication. So that's my image and my thesis is on one. Then these are the people that I might consider interviewing. So Miss Breitenbach, who is the MCHS school psychiatrist. This is her right there. Daniel O'Keefe, who is a professor of interpersonal communication studies at Northwestern University. I did some work at Northwestern one summer and I met Daniel O'Keefe, so I know that I'd be able to talk to him. I might not be able to get to Northwestern myself personally to talk to him, but I could FaceTime with him or Skype or share emails and then like discuss like what he said in a different way in my documentary. So that might be a little bit different one. Then part of my field research is that I would put out a survey to as many MCHS students who would be willing to take it as possible. And the survey would include things like where they would rate their present average happiness level on a daily basis. And then I would also ask them about communication, what mode of communication they prefer, like text messaging, email, social media, or face-to-face. And I would specifically choose teens who are both, rate themselves as both being less happy and less likely to have face-to-face conversations. So I could get a different perspective of people who don't like face-to-face conversations or like communicating with people that way. And then lastly, Darlene Westfall is my mother. This is her. She is 82 years old and she lives alone. She spends much of her day without having face-to-face conversations with people. And since we live 3.5 hours apart, even she and I only see each other maybe once a month if we're lucky. So I would have an interview with her about like how she feels living alone and how she feels when she does have face-to-face conversations with people versus when she doesn't and things like that. Next is the article link. So this is an article by Emily Snow, who was a student at Bridgewater College, but is now working as a counselor in the Bristol Counseling Center. This is her right there. So she wrote this article in 2007, and it's literally intimacy and face-to-face versus community interaction. It works great with the topic that I have. It's a study that she did, and I would kind of use her study as sort of inspiration for my own. So then finally, you didn't need to have this over winter break. It wasn't part of the thing that you needed to do. However, it would be a good idea for you to come up with ideas of what you could do for field research. So this paper is all surrounding field research and outside research, but mostly field research. You need to interview people. Most people choose to conduct a survey as well. Sometimes it's a video survey, sometimes it's a paper survey. But the best documentaries are ones that also include like experiments or doing things with the topic. So My 2-week experiment would be making a list of important conversations, 14 important conversations I'd like to have with specific people. And I would record myself having those conversations with those specific people. So, for example, I would want to ask something important, like something that I've been wondering about. So, with my mother, I'd want to know how she feels about getting older. Now she's 82 years old. And one of the things that she says pretty much every time we get done seeing each other is, like, I don't know if I'll see you again, which is really kind of sad, but I kind of want to talk to her about, like, what it's like to be 82 years old and have that kind of mindset. And then I would ask my husband, how did you know that you loved me? And that would be a conversation that I'd be interested in having with him that we haven't talked about for a while. So conversations with specific people, and then I would record portions of the conversations and then ask people to individually rate their happiness level before and after the conversation. And I said 30 minutes before and 30 minutes after because I'd like to see if they could divorce it from the conversation, if that makes sense. So that's my idea, and that maybe hopefully will give you an idea of what you'd like to do for your documentary.